you guys. Just checking everything. I might change my lighting a little. Ow! Hi. Thank you for joining. Oh, this is so awkward. Why is it awkward? How's that? No? Hello, how are you all? Oh, wait just a minute. I'm just adjusting. Why is this moving? Hello, thank you for joining. Why is that moving? I'm on time. I'm glad you're on time, Undead George Washington. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're here. Thank you guys for being here. Give me 1 second. Yay. Hello, Sarah. Greetings from Nash Vegas. Hello, Sarah. I was anticipating. Okay, great. I'm glad you're here, Steven. Where is Nash Vegas? Is that just Nashville? Wouldn't miss it. Thank you, George. I think it's going to be a good show. Hopefully. Hey, from Pennsylvania. Oh, thank you so much, whoever just sent that. That was Steven. Hi, Steven. Thank you. Well, hello, Sarah. We are the people. Hello. Nashville. Okay. I was actually in Vegas. Thank you very much, Steven. I was in Vegas last weekend. It was very interesting. I think I talked about that on the last live stream. I was in Vegas. I went to see the Beatles Love Show, and it was pretty good. They changed a lot of things. They had some woke. I was really sad because this was my 5th time seeing the show. I'm a really good Beatles fan, and I had really good seats, the best seats I've ever had. Hi from Michigan. Hi, Michigan. Hey from Henderson, Nevada. Is Henderson... Hi, Sharoon. Am I saying your name? Sharoon. My name is Pat McRatch. Let's go, Brandon. Yes. Hello, Sarah. Nice to see you. Oh my gosh. Hi, you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Central Florida. How's Florida right now? Okay. I can't appreciate enough how you point out on political stupidity on the left. Okay, well, there will be lots of that today. Lots of it. I mean, it's not really hard to do at this point. It's pretty wild, though. Well, we can just go ahead and start. Why is my light flicker? Every time I move it, it flickers a little bit. So we can, awesome. Hi, Tony. Hey, Tony. Yes, wasn't that hilarious what happened at NASCAR? And I don't know if you guys know, but my dad was a race car driver when I was little. I grew up on the racetrack, so I'm quite familiar with NASCAR. And if you saw one of the last videos I made, it was so funny. That happened Saturday. So you know that Joe Biden has been going around like crazy on college. Thank you, Stephen, very much. That has been going around like crazy on college campuses and really just everywhere. The Joe Biden chants. And Brandon, I can't remember what his last name is. It starts with a B, Brandon Brown. I don't know, but he was the NASCAR driver, FJB. Can you talk about Gabby Petito case too? Yes, we can talk about that. For CNN to spin the words, haha. It was NBC, actually. It was an NBC reporter. Howdy, Sarah. Oh, hi, you are here. Oh, no, I was talking to someone different today. I was talking to Timothy. Hello, I'm glad you're here. So this NASCAR driver won the race, and a reporter was interviewing him, and right behind him, the Joe Biden chants were breaking out. They were so loud. I mean, it was loud. Hi, Jim. And it was very clear what they were saying. And the reporter, I don't know because sometimes you're in the moment. Hi, Richard. Sometimes you're in the moment. You can't really tell what people are saying. So I don't know if she really maybe thought they were saying, let's go, Brandon, or she was trying to cover it up. But that was so epic when she got quiet. It was unmistakable. Absolutely, yes. So she said, let's go, Brandon. And then it became even more clear after she said that what the crowd was chanting. So it was just hilarious. And it was such a great moment. And I think memes make the world go round. Funny little inside jokes make the world go round. That's why I just absolutely loved that moment. And of course, it went viral over the internet. Brandon was trending on Twitter. So, yeah, that was pretty great. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about this. Did anyone see the Facebook whistleblower on 60 Minutes last night? I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the entire thing because I felt like I got everything I needed to know with this. And I remember seeing the advertisement for the Facebook whistleblower, huge. Yes, let's go, Brandon. I remember seeing this news about the Facebook whistleblower, and I'm like, wow, do they have an actual whistleblower on 60 Minutes? This is going to be really cool. I can't believe it. And then I started watching it, and I was like, nope. So I don't know if any of you guys watched it. This Facebook whistleblower was on 60 Minutes. They did a huge interview, made a huge deal about it. All the left-wing media is like, that woman was crazy. Yeah, she was clearly a left-wing activist that was very into censorship. So I can basically sum up the entire 60 Minutes right here. Hi, Glenn. How are you? I can sum up the entire 60 Minutes right here. She basically said, I started working at Facebook because I really wanted to help combat against misinformation. Facebook spent the day deleting. Do you think that's what happened? Well, it is odd timing. I'll get to that in just a second. But she said she wanted to start working there to help stop the spread of misinformation. She had a friend that she lost to online conspiracy theories, which I'm like, do people really lose friends to online conspiracy theories? Like, what conspiracy theory? The frogs are gay, or like QAnon? I have no idea. I even had some friends that were into QAnon. I'm like, I don't think I would lose them over that. I would just be like, you're silly. I mean, I don't know. So she said that at the beginning. Facebook whistleblower complained that Facebook needs to censor even more. Exactly. So she goes on to say, they were doing good up until the election. And then after the election, she basically said they stopped censoring. She said they didn't need to anymore because the election happened and there were no riots. So they stopped censoring, and then the insurrection happened. Well, weren't there riots all summer in 2020? Like, what are you talking about? There were no riots. 1,000 officers injured, almost $1 billion in property damage, 24 people that are not alive anymore. And so that was quite odd, and she was complaining that there wasn't more censorship after the election. So that whole thing, in my opinion, I think she was a fraud. She's clearly a left-wing activist. I don't know if she was like a plant by them to sort of distract, and because Project Veritas has whistleblowers all the time. So I don't know if this was their attempt to say, oh, look over here, we have a whistleblower, and whoa, to get everyone saying like, oh my gosh, we found so much out about Facebook, but really it's the stuff that they kind of already wanted you to know. So, and then it was also done by CNN, who is a part of or not CNN, but who does 60 Minutes? Is it NBC? ABC? I don't know who does 60 Minutes, but they're a part of the machine, essentially. So that whole thing was just silly. It was just, and in my opinion, any adult that says it's for your, CBS. Okay, thank you, it's CBS. But still, it's a part of the machine. But anyone that goes on talking about, I need to make sure that people, it's for your safety. It is CBS, John. It's for your safety. We need to combat against misinformation, but you're not, what is misinformation? What are you talking about, safety? Because we all know what was censored before the election. It was the Hunter Biden email scandal. It was the allegations against Joe Biden. And we know that both of those things were legitimate stories, and those were censored. So do you mean censoring the truth to further your political party? Like, what exactly are you saying? So I don't like it when people are vague like that. If you're going to talk about safety, I'm an adult, be specific. with me about what you mean about safety. I do think that I personally don't like Facebook. My account has been, I haven't deleted it because I'm lazy, but it's been inactive for several years and it's private and I don't use Facebook. I just don't like it. But anywho, there's that. And then as we all know, Facebook was down all day. I believe it's still down. Am I right? So I don't know what that was all about, but there's that. The whole thing I think is silly. I think it's really hilarious how a lot of the left-wing media is like, 5 astonishing things that came out by the whistleblower and blah, blah, blah. Oh, it is back online. I knew that Instagram was back online. So Instagram was down, Facebook was down, safety from misinformation / disinformation violence. Got it. Thank you. Except we were allowed to peacefully riot all summer. So that's good news. Thank you for looking out for my safety. Anywho, I'm not a fan of Facebook. I haven't been for a while. Back up after scrubbing. Yeah, it was really weird. And then funny also, apparently the employees of Facebook couldn't even get in the building. They have like swipey cards and couldn't use their cards. They could not even get into the building. So that whole thing was just really weird and really interesting. And apparently this whistleblower, who, by the way, she's my age, and that really surprised me. But this whistleblower is apparently going to be testifying in Congress, so that'll be really interesting. But yeah, haven't been a fan of Facebook for a really long time. It's because the CIA whistleblower that talked about the Obama-Biden. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, but that was just, it was pretty bad. It was quite embarrassing, in my opinion. But let's talk about Minneapolis. So I'm going to talk about defund the police a little bit and there's this really good article about how is she a I don't know, because she didn't say anything. I feel like, so someone just asked, how is she a whistleblower? That's what I don't understand. She didn't really say anything that any of us didn't already know. It just sounded like she, in my opinion, was a left-wing activist who wants to censor conversation or who wants government censorship and was mad that they don't have enough government censorship. So some people are saying she's a plant. I have no idea, but the whole thing was just like, it was weird, in my opinion. So there's several things about defund the police that have come up recently. There's this really interesting article about Minneapolis and what's happening in Minneapolis. They call it Murderapolis. I didn't even know that was a nickname for Minneapolis. So I want to go into that, but before I do that, she blew the whistle on the fact that Facebook isn't censoring us hard enough. Exactly. That's what I was confused about the whole thing. So Murderapolis again, and this is really interesting to me too, because once I get into this article, what they're talking about is exactly what I experienced in West Hollywood. So when I was living in West Hollywood, it was when the George Floyd riots started breaking out right on, I think it was like May 29th, May 30th of 2020. And I saw the destruction of those riots. Well, even in West Hollywood, which is, I wouldn't say it's super affluent. It's not Beverly Hills. It's not Hollywood. It's like in the middle. Hollywood's a little like, Beverly Hills is a little nicer. But it's a pretty diverse group that lives in West Hollywood. But overall, it's a very safe neighborhood. Did you see that they defaced George Floyd's statue in New York? Yes, George Floyd's statue in New York did get defaced. That's what happens when you put a criminal up. I don't think it's okay to deface things, but people are very angry about it. You put a criminal up. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't do it. I don't condone it. Don't think it's okay. But a lot of people are very angry about that. And what we're about to talk about, a lot of the riots that broke out because of him. My hyper lefty friend used to brag about Minneapolis. She moved to Virginia and asked me to help her learn to shoot. Well, we're about to get into what's happening in Minneapolis. This is really interesting. Sorry, I'm getting a drink of water. But hold on. But this article, Kelly, how dare you start without me? We started on time. Hi, Kelly, how are you? So in West Hollywood, I've talked about this a few times, but we had a huge uptick in crime in West Hollywood. And I might be moving back there. So I go on my Citizen app all the time and I see where the crime is to know like where I want to live, like where the safe areas are now. And there's a consensus. So what happened in West Hollywood right after the riots, there was an uptick in crime, but the crime that was happening was really interesting because it wasn't committed by people that live in that area. It was committed by people coming into that area from other areas, preying on people that live in that area. And it happened all around the George Floyd riots. That's after it started happening. So we had a lot of looting and destruction. And after that, that's when we started seeing a lot of armed assaults, a lot of robberies, a lot of all kinds of stuff happening on the streets of West Hollywood. And even if you go on the Citizen app, you put in an address in West Hollywood and you look at the comments to all the crime that's happening, and it's a consensus with everyone. They'll say this all started around the George Floyd riots, and that's what this is getting into. So this is a really interesting article. I'm going to read a little bit from it, but this is what's happening in Minneapolis, Murderapolis. So it says, the past summer, a judge, and this is really interesting. So citizens in Minneapolis, so Minneapolis was like one of the main cities that their city council voted to defund the police, and citizens actually sued the city because their safety was in jeopardy after they defunded the police. And that's basically what this is about. So it says, the past summer, a judge in Hennepin, I think that's how you pronounce it, County, Minnesota, ruled in favor of the Minneapolis 8, a group of minority Minneapolis residents who sued the city last fall for violating its charter by failing to maintain a large enough police force. The ruling, which directed the city to hire more officers, sparked a glimmer of hope among residents that would be sparred from the worst policy impulses of police abolitionist activists and politicians. The whole defund the police was a knee-jerk reaction to angry activists on the street after George Floyd. So it says, the ruling, however, doesn't take effect until 2022, when the city will begin the process of hiring and training more officers, and current conditions in Minneapolis are already dire. According to MPD's official homicide statistics, last year's 83 murders approached previous record of 97 set in 1995, when the city earned the nickname Murderapolis. What a lovely place to live. With a murder rate that surpassed New York, homicides are now on the pace to approach, if not surpass, 1995's records. Historically, crime-ridden parts of the city are plagued with nightly street violence, endangering those most disenfranchised and also affecting the quality of life in neighborhoods once considered safe havens. There are rising reports of children being caught up in the rampant street violence. Keep it under 100 goals, right? On September 8th, a 12-year-old was shot in what police described as a neighborhood dispute, having closely followed the downward spiral of Minneapolis since MPD's 3rd precinct burned down in late May 2020. So I don't know if you remember, in 2020, they burnt down the 3rd precinct in the riots of the police department in Minneapolis because justice. So having closely followed the downward spiral of the MPD's 3rd precinct burned down in late May 2020, I was moved by the story of Don Samuels, a Jamaican immigrant who worked his way up the socioeconomic ladder and made generous contributions to civic life, only to see his city disintegrate into lawless anarchy last summer. As I reported in the New York Post, Samuels took matters into his own hands and he sued the city for failing to provide sufficient police protection. And here's the thing, this is what I oftentimes think about when I think about, especially in Los Angeles, our homeless situation and how dangerous it is. Your government's basic function is to at least provide public safety. And that's one of the reasons, one of the 100 different reasons I became interested in politics is living in Los Angeles and seeing the increased homelessness and recognizing that there are streets that I used to be able to walk down a year ago that I don't walk down anymore, and this would continue to happen. And I wasn't into politics at the time. I was just like, what in the heck is going on? And when something directly affects your safety, all of a sudden you become interested and you want to know what is going on. And that's what's happening with these people. They're like, hey, I just want to live my life. Maybe not, I'm not even that interested in politics, but aren't you at least supposed to provide basic safety? Isn't that what I pay taxes for? To at least feel somewhat safe in my neighborhood? So by the way, the guy that wrote this article, his name is Rav Araro, and he's a really, really good journalist. I like him very much so. That's a very short period of time. Oh, it is. And my boyfriend at the time, we would talk about this because him and I, that's one of the reasons I moved to the area that I moved to, is because it was really walkable. So I would walk everywhere. I'd walk several miles a day. That's how I started to notice this stuff. And sometimes it was even a matter of months that I would notice, wow, I don't feel comfortable walking down that street anymore, or I don't feel comfortable walking down that street anymore. So he says, speaking with Samuels, I learned that statistics don't capture the true impact of crime in a community. He told me of a family whose young son had been clinically diagnosed with a psychological disorder from the trauma of hearing gunshots every night. Their son is sleeping in their bedroom on the floor next to their bed and now becoming so traumatized that he's having cold sweats and shivering. The psychologist recommended that they move. People are going to the doctor getting medicine for stress on my street. That is wild. These tragic outcomes are not surprising. A body of research shows that local violence causes children to sleep less, to suffer from increased anxiety and impaired impulse control, and to experience substantial temporary reductions in cognitive performance on standardized tests. Functional communities depend on public safety and order. Exactly. Only a kid and he's already got PSD. Well, imagine being a child and hearing all of that stuff. Speaking of Minneapolis, the Somali immigrant Minneapolis police officer had murder oh, wow. Oh, sorry, I didn't get to finish reading. There was a police officer who had, murder sentence reversed? Okay, as University of Utah law professor Paul Casal, I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's okay, argued in a paper last year, institutionalized this is interesting. So this law professor argued that institutionalized anti-police sentiment across the country, visible in political, cultural, academic, and media institutions, led to reduction of proactive policing. In Minneapolis, police stops and officer-initiated calls dropped more than half. Use of force incidents fell by 2/3, and traffic-related incidents and patrols came far less common. That's really interesting. Radical anti-police signals weren't just coming from activists. Last summer, a majority of Minneapolis City Police Council members voted to dismantle the city's police force, and labor slashed $8 million from the budget and diverted it to other services. Samuels, this is the guy that is suing the city of Minneapolis, recounted his surprise at hearing this news. My wife and I looked at each other and go like, oh my gosh, things are going to be crazy around here. Just hearing those words, do you understand? Because the message we're sending as neighbors was just totally opposite to that. So he's basically saying what I think we've seen all summer. So I can't tell you how many videos, how many sort of experimental videos I saw by journalists who would go in affluent areas and ask people, are police bad? Should we defund the police? And the people would say, yes, we should defund the police. Yes, yes, yes. And then they go to high crime, low income areas and they ask those people, should we defund the police? And they say, are you crazy? Are you insane? No. It would be like, why would you do that? And it just goes to show, in my opinion, other services like social workers, right? In my opinion, if you don't think police are necessary, to me, that just proves, I'm going to use their language here, that just proves your privilege. If you don't understand the importance of police officers, and think about this, what about the single mom trying to raise boys in these high crime, low income areas? What about the grandmother that needs to walk across the street to get her medicine at the pharmacy? Like, what about all of these people? We say we care about women and elderly and minorities, but this is just showing, and we don't even need this, it's already out there, that these policies affect low income, high crime, marginalized communities before they affect anyone else. It goes on to say in this article, outside of conservative leaning media, Samuel's story and the story of these people that sued Minneapolis basically got little to no coverage. But while we're talking about defund the police, this just came out of Austin as well. And by the way, hold on. Austin Police October. Was it Austin? RoboCop will now be a social worker. Bulletproof clipboard. Okay, I actually pulled up a different story about Austin, and I totally forgot that this story came out today too. So Austin, which is crazy because Austin is in Texas, and we know that Texas is a red state, but Austin within Texas is a very, very blue, very liberal city. And they are also one of the cities that voted to almost completely defund their police. And here it is, Austin police to stop responding to non-emergency calls in October. Starting Friday, the Austin Police Department will ask people to use 311 instead of 911 to report crimes that are no longer in process when the suspect is no longer on the scene and there is no immediate threat to life or property. All reports gathered by 311 or online will still be given to investigators and will be followed up on when detectives are able to do so. I feel like in many areas, it's not just obviously in our sworn officers on the street, but with our property crime technicians and forensics, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so they're not going to be responding to crimes that are actually active. Calls that will be considered non-emergencies. Animal services, attempted theft of property, burglary of a residence, vehicle, or business, yikes. Crashes that do not require a tow with no injuries as long as both parties have insurance, a license, and are not impaired. COVID violations, verbal disturbances, prostitutions, a suspicious person or vehicle, and theft. So some of those are pretty scary. I could see animal services. Obviously could see COVID violations. More and more stations will be doing this. Yes, well, crashes that do not require a tow. I don't know about that. Maybe, but definitely a suspicious person or vehicle, I would want an officer. Theft, attempted theft or property, burglary of a residence. Yikes. That's basically what they're starting to do in Los Angeles, is not necessarily like decriminalize it, but they're not prosecuting for those types of things. Wow. Okay, but now that we're on Austin, I actually forgot about that story, but this is the original story I wanted to talk about. So here's the headline right here, and then I'll read a little bit. It says, Soros Group pours $500K into campaign to oppose reinstating Austin police units that were defunded. So in Austin, they're trying to refund the police, and then a Soros-backed group is fighting against that. So let's read this a little further. By the way, I want to say this, yet not prosecuting is insane. Oh, I know. And let me tell you, I was living in, that was just not cool. That's one of the reasons I got out of West Hollywood for a little while, because I lived in West Hollywood during that whole thing. And, I watched the riots. I watched all the protests. The National Guard came, saw the increased crime. And then the November 3rd election, George Gascon was hired, and he immediately had his first day in office. I think it was by the way, George Gascon is our super progressive district attorney that was elected into office. George Gascon, I think it was his first 30 minutes in office, he did that sweeping list of directives where he said, we're not prosecuting for this, and this. And a lot of it was similar to that list. And I thought, I was just reading you the story about that Samuels guy. Well, I thought the same thing. I was just like, what? What is going on? Why would you do this? And the crazy thing, while I'm talking about this, George Gascon is also Soros funded. And what's also pretty wild is when I started researching all of this stuff, when I started getting interested and wanting to know more about the political landscape and why all of these radical leftists are wanting, anyway, you hear Soros' name come up a lot. And I would hear his name come up a lot. And at first, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you very much. Mwah. But I would hear Soros' name come up a lot. And to me, in the beginning, I would think like, this sounds like conspiracy type stuff. This is like conspiracy. People are just like overreacting, blah, blah, blah. But really, the more you look into it, why is old 60 Minutes interview with George Soros? And well, speaking of Project Veritas, I just got an email from James O'Keefe, so I'll have to watch that when we get off. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Not him personally. I'm on the email list. I do not know him personally. It's the email list that they send the videos through, just in case they get banned online. But so I'm watching this old 60 Minutes interview with George Soros, and I must say, it was pretty creepy. And in the interview, he talks about that he thinks about just the financials. He does not think about the social consequences of the things that he does at all. And this isn't, I'm not making this up. You can look it up online. He was talking about, he's Jewish, and I think it was his uncle or someone, when he was just a boy, I think he was like 13 or 14 years old, and his uncle saved him. It's no conspiracy. Soros backed Gascon and other DA who is running. Yeah, I know, and that's why, like, it sounds conspiracy, and then you start putting all the pieces together, and you're like, what is going on? Like, why is someone so far away so interested in all of these local policies? It doesn't make sense for me. I mean, it makes sense that he would, hi Sarah and everybody, Zombie, hello, lovely to see you. It makes sense that he would be interested in investments and stuff like that, but why is he so interested in all of these local politics? It's odd to me. It's almost like he's this man just playing a board game with everyone. Soros makes most of his money on shorting currency markets. Yeah, and that's what I'm sort of starting to learn, Michael. And Soros is extremely destructive to this country. Yeah, so in this interview, it was just odd, the things he was talking about. Again, I'm not making assumptions. I'm not one that likes to make assumptions about things, but I will tell you what I heard him say. And you have to dig for this, because they actually took it. Soros is super creepy. His history as well. Yeah, that's what I found last night. And you have to. Do you see my cat? She's the lump on that pillow over there. It's really cute. He hates the USA. So I had to dig to find this because they actually cut this out of the 60 Minutes interview, but he was talking about so he's Jewish and he was saved from being taken around the Holocaust time, and there was a time in his life when he was a young kid, and obviously he didn't have a choice in the matter. He had to go along with it, but they tried to hide the fact that he was Jewish and say that he was Christian so he would avoid, persecution, however you want to say it. And he was with Nazis going around confiscating land from other Jewish people, and he was asked, did you feel guilty about that? Did you feel bad? And he said, no, it was actually some of the happiest times on my life because I was watching all of this despair around me, but it didn't touch me. I'm serious. These are his words. You can search this. I watched this last night and I was just shocked because if you think about that and then you think about what's happening right now, it's weird. Again, I'm not a conspiracy person. I just happened to find this last night, look it up, and I just couldn't believe it. And the reason I researched that last night was because I saw this headline, how he or his group was basically funding the campaign to oppose reinstating the police department in Austin. And Austin is one of those cities, like all these other cities, that defunded their police and saw an increase in crime. So I'm like, why would you... I just don't understand why people would fight back against it. It's so odd to me. I don't get it. But let's read this a little bit. The advocacy group, funded by liberal billionaire financier George Soros, has dumped $500,000 into a campaign to defeat a proposal in Austin, Texas that would bulk up the city's police department. Why? I don't know. And maybe there's another reason behind it. I don't know, but it was just, it wasn't the typical response that you would hear from someone. It was very odd. So it says, Proposition A, an Austin ballot proposal for the November 2nd election, backed by the group Save Austin Now, would require at least 2 Austin police officers for every 1,000 residents, and would provide officers with an additional 40 hours of police training each year on topics such as weapons proficiency and active shooter scenarios. So I think that's a really good idea. And this was my whole, it is creepy. Look it up. I don't say anything that you can't find online. Like, never just listen to me. Late again. What did oh, you're here. I'm just kidding. Hi, Timothy. You missed everything. We're talking about Austin and defunding the police and George Soros. Welcome. You made me lose my... Eva's on the pillow. Yeah, there's Eva. She's a little lump. I usually do. Yeah, hi. God bless innocence. Evening. Hello, Steven. Steven? Okay. Proposition A, Austin ballot proposal for November 2nd election backed by the group Save Austin Now would require at least 2 Austin police officers for every 1,000 residents and would provide... Oh, now I know what I was saying. And would provide officers with 40 hours of police training each year on topics such as weapon proficiency and active shooter scenarios. Eva's camera... No, she's just sleeping a lot. Maybe I'll grab her in a second. So my argument with all the defund the police people, I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense to give police more training so they could have more training on their weapons and sort of some of these scenarios, and they would have better hiring practices and better investigate. I don't know. That was my whole argument, but I guess not everyone agrees. And it says, according to financial records reviewed by Fox News, Soros Open Society Policy Center last week donated $500,000 to Equity Austin, a group that is working to defeat Proposition A. Okay, and this is a quote by a city council member. It sickens me that spicy. Better hiring practice would be a good start, but that's a fantasy. Well, yeah. Okay. It sickens me that out-of-town billionaires are able to swoop into Austin to fight against citizen-led ballot initiatives. Austin City Council member Mackenzie Kelly said, "We like Mackenzie Kelly." In a statement to Fox News, the purpose of our city's charter is to allow regular, everyday people to fight for what they believe in when the city council fails them. That's so right. Why does someone that he doesn't even live in the US, does he? Where does he live? Isn't he banned in his home country or something? But how is someone that does not even live in your city able to able to donate that much money and affect politics? That to me, that's not okay. Exactly. Like, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of democracy? Like, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of people in that city being able to vote for what their city needs and wants? The co-founders of Save Austin used the Soros opposition as a fundraising point with supporters. Like, how do you beat that? Okay, so this is, he has a place in upstate New York. Okay, sorry, hungry. Okay, so Matt McQuayock. National left-wing interests are trying to destroy public safety in Austin. Help us ensure adequate police staffing, increase community policing, double police training, and enact sensible police reforms. Donate here. Billionaire George Soros is involved in Austin's... Wow. Okay, and then it sort of gives us an update right here. In the wake of George Floyd protests last year, the Austin City Council voted to... Whoa. I didn't realize it was that. I forgot about... You know what's so funny? I had all of this memorized about a year ago because we talked about defunding the police so much when it was happening real time. And I'm remembering all of these numbers. But Austin cut $150 million from their police budget. That's a lot. A little more than a third of its total budget, and reinvest that money into other public services. The department was partially refunded earlier this year, but not all of the units that were cut came back. Meanwhile, okay, so they're going to talk about how much crime has increased since then. Meanwhile, Austin has seen a steep rise in homicides over the past year, and due to police staffing shortages, residents are being encouraged to call 311 instead of 911 to report non-emergencies. Wow. I'm looking at the comments. That's just so, I mean, I could almost, I still think the whole idea, even on its face, without even having evidence, is idiotic. Just defunding the police. I mean, I'm totally for police reform, fixing things. You know, I used to work for the government. I believe in constantly, after everything happens, you say, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How can we improve? What could we have done better? Constantly. You should constantly be questioning those things, questioning your budget, questioning how things are done. So I believe in reform on every level, in every area, all the time, constantly. But just defunding the police knee-jerk like that, to me, was not a smart thing. But I can at least say, hey, you know, maybe these activists, they had utopian dreams, and then they saw the consequence, right? So every single city that defunded their police, what are the main ones that did that? We had Portland, Minneapolis, Austin, Los Angeles, Seattle, all of those cities. I think New York, right? New York, Chicago, every single one of those cities that voted to defund their police saw an increase in crime. So you would think at least some of these activists would be like, you know what, maybe this didn't work. Let's try refunding them. Let's try like fixing this. But the fact that you would donate that much money to ensure that this didn't happen that to me that's what I don't understand. That's the piece that does not make sense to me. I can at least in some way try to figure out what the initial sentiment was, but this, I just don't understand the incentive to donate that much money. Exercises. And even, I don't know if you heard about this, but I'm from Atlanta, so they've had this on Fox News a lot. I grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta, and there's a city in Atlanta. It's a very affluent part of Atlanta. It's called Buckhead. It used to be a party area, too. They had a lot of clubs, like a lot of like nightclubs and stuff, so people would go there to party, but it's also a very affluent area. And sort of what is happening in West Hollywood is happening in Buckhead, but on a much more dangerous scale in Buckhead, Atlanta. So people that do not live in Buckhead are going to Buckhead, and let's go Brandon. We got another one. $500,000 to Soros is like $50 to you. I know, but still, $50 to me is a significant amount of money. If I give $50 to something, I really believe in that thing, I guess. I don't know. So Buckhead, but anyway, it's very similar to West Hollywood in the sense that people that do not live there are coming there to commit crime and prey on the people that live there. So Buckhead is voting to secede from the city of Atlanta. Butthead, no, not Butthead, Timothy, it's Buckhead, like a buck, Timothy. So they're actually voting to secede from the city of Atlanta because I believe that they also, maybe Buckhead, LOL. Wait, did Atlanta defund their police? Atlanta defund the police. Defund the hello? Yes, they did, but I don't know. Defund the police was a slogan that really backfired because across the country, not only in Atlanta, so they did. Rayshard Brooks' death at the hands of Atlanta police last June was the tipping point for many activists. The incident came just weeks after George Floyd's murders sparked a global outcry. City council meetings were determined by residents and civil rights. So they did, and they saw increased crime as well. A suburb from Atlanta wants to split to be its own city. You know what's interesting? West Hollywood is actually its own city as well from Los Angeles. So they have a really interesting thing. And I will say, are there crickets chirping outside your window? You can hear that? Yes. No, so there's two really big windows in here. That's how country it is where I live. Yes, you can hear the crickets like crazy. I am like in the woods. Hold on, let's all be quiet. Can you hear them? Yes, those are crickets. That's so wild that you can hear that. I don't even have my microphone on right now. I was just playing with it. But that's pretty cool that you can hear that. I didn't know you could. A blue Yeti in a pink room. That's right. Anywho, that's what's happening. Let's look. Okay, so this is a more. Now we don't have to be so depressing and talk about defunding the police and crime. Ow, I'm sitting on my leg. Hold on. Plant marigolds around your house. Crickets don't like them. You know what, though? I kind of like hearing the crickets. They must be loud. Jeez, they are, but I like hearing them because you don't really... And in the morning, you hear birds like crazy. Have you ever seen the YouTube skit, How People Think Atlanta Is? No, I never have, but I would like to watch it. Okay, let's talk about Andrew Yang because this is funny. This is someone else who just left the Democratic Party. You guys know who Andrew Yang is, right? I actually don't mind him. I still prefer birds and cats. You hear a lot of birds in the morning. Are you sure those crickets are not CNN reporters? Maybe they are. Who's outside? Who's outside that window? Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Okay, so Andrew Yang, Sandy Springs is another Atlanta suburb. They fought a legal battle to become, well, that's the thing, because a lot of time, I want to tell you something before we talk about Andrew Yang. So right now, Yang, UBI guy. Yes, Yang is the UBI guy. And actually, let me know what you guys think, because, so I'm reading more about Yang. So Yang, he wanted a universal, hi Tommy. He wanted a universal basic income of $1,000 a month. So let me know what you think about, like, just think about it for a second. Just think about it. Because I know right off the bat, we're all like, ew, no. And that's how I feel too. But then I kind of thought about it a little bit. I know, stop. But no, think about it, because that's not enough. No, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want that, but it's not enough for people to live off of. So you would still have to work, but then you would have increased taxes, so that wouldn't work. I don't know. I was just thinking maybe it would put people in a better mood. How about it's coming to that. It almost is. No, I tried to think about it for a second. Yang is an authoritarian who hasn't realized it. I was trying to think about it. I'm like, okay, well, that's not enough to where you couldn't just not work. So maybe people would be happier at their jobs. The dark side of you. There's a dark side. Yeah, I know. You're right. I literally thought about it for a second before I started this live stream, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but you do have that, but you're absolutely right, because rent would go up, and then wages, prices, it would all go up. Taxes would go up, rent would go, you're right. I just thought about it for a second. I'm like, well, maybe, but no, you're right. But I try to consider things and think about other things. That's how my mind works. Okay, so Andrew Yang, did you inhale helium? No, I didn't inhale helium. Yang does make a good argument for UBI in the light of increased automation. Yeah, that's why I thought about it, and I was trying to, like, would that work? But I just don't think it would. Companies would raise prices knowing, yep. Oh, but what I wanted to talk to you about was this. So it's really interesting to me. I made an observation, because where I'm at right now, like, I'm staying in the country, abolish the FBI. I'm telling you, you wanted me to talk about Gabby Petito. If Dog the Bounty Hunter finds Gabby Petito, I am never paying taxes again. Like, screw the FBI. I'm never paying them again. Same thing happened with tuition. Well, what I noticed is right now, and I think it has a lot to do with the lockdowns, the pandemic, and everything like that, it seems like the more liberal the area you go to, the more awful it feels, like the more authoritarian it feels. I feel that here. So I'm staying in the country right now, but when I go downtown Richmond, like just yesterday, I was at VCU, which is super liberal college, like right in downtown Richmond. I was just running some errands and happened to be in that area. Laundry. No, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Did I say something wrong? Brian Laundry? Whatever. If Dog the Bounty Hunter finds him, I want to, like, protest against paying taxes. So I'm in this, I don't care who the IRS sends, I'm not paying taxes. Who said it? But I felt like this living in West Hollywood too. So West Hollywood is arguably one of the most liberal cities in the U.S. I mean, it's not Portland, it's not Seattle, but West Hollywood was actually founded in 1984 to as like a safe haven for LGBTQ community. That's what it was basically founded for, so they could feel safe. So you could argue it's one of the most liberal cities. And it feels so authoritarian when you're living there right now. Like everyone is so serious. They're so afraid. They're like triple masked up. If you don't have one on, they'll yell at you. And it was the same when I went in downtown right around VCU, which is a college and it's a liberal. It's most of the people there are super liberal. When you're here in the country where it's more conservative, everyone's really nice, it's laid back, like people talk to you. It's just really, really interesting the difference, like how things have shifted and all of that. Sounds like something from American Dad or something, LOL. I don't know. Are you talking to me, John? That's how it feels. It's weird. Okay, so Andrew Yang has left the Democratic Party. I just want to show you what he said really fast and show you Candace Owens' response. I just thought it was really funny, and then we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Sarah, are you familiar with Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers? No, I'm not. Should I be? So, here we go. He got kicked out of a comic book store for not wearing a mask. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the people that are supposed to be like the liberals are... So Andrew Yang, this is what he said about leaving the Democratic Party. He says, I changed my voting registration from Democrat to Independent today. It was a strangely emotional experience. So why did I feel in my heart that this was the right move? While it was simply a small piece of paperwork, I genuinely felt a shift in my mindset as soon as I signed it. My goal is to do as much as I can to advance our society. There are phenomenal public servants doing great work every day, but our system is stuck. It's stuck in part because of polarization. It's getting worse than ever. Many of the people I know are doing all the good they can, but their impact is constrained. Now that I am not a member of one party or another, I feel like I can be even more honest about both systems and the people in it. Andrew Yang was a registered Democrat since 1995. He said he joined the Democratic Party in college as he felt like that was the right thing to do, as many of us have. And Candace Owens said, Candace Owens said, it's cool that Andrew Yang has announced that he's leaving the corrupt, racist, communist Democratic Party, but it's not cool that he isn't being honest about reasons why. He is still fearful of their machine, which ruins people that don't bend the knee. So there you go. Let's get Sarah to sub My Pillow Guy versus Yang. Who we got? My Pillow Guy all the way. Patterson and Brie Larson videos. I haven't watched any of those. Andrew Yang had to jump ship in order to tell the truth. Hard pass. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I've never been too on point, Candace. We're still talking about Jeremy? Oh, you guys are talking about Jeremy. Yeah, I'm with My Pillow Guy for sure. I don't know if I can say it. Okay, all I'm going to say is watch Project Veritas tonight. Candace Owens, are you crazy? I cannot even say this. Owens. What channel on TV? It's not on TV. Go to... So, okay, I'll say it in code. I don't want anything to happen to my channel. But I think we're in the middle of the stream, so I think we're okay. So, I told you the Project Veritas just dropped. I got the email from them, And I just logged on Twitter. I was looking at Twitter. I think I'm getting sick. I just logged on Twitter and I'm seeing what it's about. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is a quote from, this is a quote from a, are you looking at, yeah, I am. I'm looking at the vid. Yes. So they're saying, so a scientist is saying that that your own A bodies are better than the, I haven't watched the video yet. This was just a quote that came out. So if you follow Project Veritas, you might want to watch the video. Cinema was chased in the toilet. The flesh build. Virginia is liberal, but Virginia countryside is lucky duck. Oh yeah, I actually saw some Let's Go Brandon. By Let's Go Brandon, I mean F Joe Biden. I'm not even joking. Right down the street the other day, I was making a U-turn. I went down the wrong street because they're all country roads. Pretend you're... I made a U-turn and I was in a I was just turning around in a cul-de-sac and there was a huge F Joe Biden sign just at a random house. Antibodies is not banned. Okay, well, stop making fun of me. Pfizer, okay, thank you. Everyone meet Michael's comment. Stop making fun of me. I don't want to get banned. Don't laugh at me. My code. Don't laugh at my code. That's really frustrating. Was the sign... No, stop laughing at me. I hate all of you. Stop. Was the sign censored? I don't... Oh, the sign. Okay, I thought you were making fun of me. No, it wasn't censored. It was... I wonder if I can find it. Hold on. I put it on... Where is it? Let me see if I can find it for you. Oh yeah, here it is. I took a picture of it. You see it? I was turning around in this cul-de-sac. The algorithm stops listening after 45 minutes. Thank you for that. See, I don't know these things. And I literally just had a video where I don't monetize a lot of my videos, but I monetize this one. And I don't even know what I said in it, but it wouldn't even fully monetize it. And I was even careful about what I said in the video. I'm like, what the heck did I say? But it was like limited monetization because of sensitive content or something like that. And I was like, I don't even know what I said. Anywho, whatever. But that was ads. I think the live streams are different because I don't do ads on live streams, obviously. Joe Manchin making voting great again. Well, that's a really... Okay, so after we get off, we all should watch Project Veritas. Sarah, did you see that Sean Hannity radio started at 3 p.m.? No. Break them up. Shadow banned is shadow banned on YouTube comments. Really? Well, that's weird. You conservative? I actually don't know anymore. I would say more so yes. I have some beliefs. I think I'm a little socially... I don't want to say liberal. You know what? I was having this conversation the other day, like living, the older I get and the more I learn about life and experiences and stuff like that, it's hard to say that I'm totally conservative. And I think a lot of that is because of my performer background. You're libertarian, classic liberal. I think I'm probably more that. I think I'm closer to a classic liberal, which is now, I think, more conservative and more Republican. All right, y'all, I'm headed out. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming. Independent nationalist for me, Democratic nationalist, yeah. But as far as voting goes, I think exactly artist liberal, yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. There are some great software programs that can help with displays, split screen streams. Let's get Sarah software upgrades. Okay, bye, James. I'll probably get off here too in just a minute. Yes, thank you. It's a little hard. I stream on my phone here. Okay, actually, I have a really good question. Blue Dog Democrat, yeah. Because there are some Democrats that I would vote for over certain Republicans that we have in office. I'm hella conservative. Okay, no, I actually have a really good question because I really don't have anyone I can ask because no one does this type of technology that I know in purpose or in person. So where I am in the country, the internet is so slow. So when I live stream, I do it on my phone. I have OBS. It's on my phone. Can I do that totally on my phone? Or do I have to do it through my computer screen? That's where I'm stuck and I'm stumbling right now. Democrat, Republican, not playing your stupid games anymore. That's kind of where I am. Like I'm not, and I don't like when you're so use your phone as a hotspot. No, that's what I do. I use my phone as a hotspot because everything is so slow here. My data is faster than the internet. And I'm not going to be here for that much longer, so there's no point in. So I use my phone as a hotspot and I live stream on my phone. And I have OBS, but I don't know if I can totally do all this. Does that make sense? I don't know about phones. That's my problem. But I do have it. And I won't be here for that much longer. GOP, baby. You going back to California? I might be. We'll have to see. I might be. Right, we are American. Yeah, I mean, I vote for whoever I think is best, and I'm not like as conservative as some conservatives, and I think a lot of that just has to do also with my performance background. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina, followed Don Bongino show, made fun of. Eva is coming with you, right? Oh, of course, she will always come with me. I'm not leaving. I just have common sense. I used to live in Colorado. I lived in Denver for 5 years. Change California from the inside. I know, and I really did. I talk about what kind of issues are you more liberal on? The issues I'm more liberal on, I don't actually, but see, that's the thing. I'm not really liberal on issues. I'm more liberal, like the common sense party. Exactly. I don't know how to explain it. I guess I'm liberal. I'm trying to figure out what I'm talking about here. I'm a performer. I've danced burlesque. Like, would you live in Vegas? Well, I almost did live in Vegas. I auditioned for Cirque du Soleil and I got down to 25 people. So free spirit style. Yes, thank you. I'm a free spirit in that sense. Like, I'm a very free spirit. I love adventure. I try new things. I move around a lot. I've worked in a lot of different industries. I like to perform. I like to learn. So thank you. Yes, I'm a free spirit in that sense. But as far as policy and morals and stuff like that, I'm very conservative. If that makes sense. California is full of zombies, not knowing. Oh, but I almost did live in Vegas. I wouldn't just move there just because, but if I had a job, I would obviously live there. You are what many are, liberal in some, yes. Yeah, liberals are my body, my choice includes the VAX, yeah. No, I almost did. I got down to 25 people, and if I would have gotten that, I would have had to live in Las Vegas for about 2 years. Come to North Carolina. I lived in, where's Raleigh? Is that North Carolina or South Carolina? Oh my gosh. Why am I doing this right now? I lived in Raleigh for a few months. I don't know why I can't remember right now if that's North or South Carolina. But I do North Carolina. Okay, so I did live in North Carolina. I lived in Raleigh for a few months. Thank you. Raleigh, North Carolina. That was a long time ago, though. And I lived there in the summertime, and it was hot. Which is funny because I grew up in Georgia, but I forgot how hot it gets. Are you going to have kids? Yes. Not tomorrow, but yes, I will have kids. Come to Australia. I'm not sure if I want to go to Australia right now. Classical liberal, where was the place with the big-eyed dog? That's at my boyfriend's house. He's still in California, so that's probably one of the reasons why I would go back to California. That's Quina, the big-eyed dog, the blue-eyed dog. But no, I don't always believe in, I mean, it's my same argument with like mass refugees. Like, you can't always leave everywhere. You know, like, places still need good people. And I do love California. That's why I try to fight for it so much. Because I do love it and it has potential to be great. Yes, that was in Cali. Leave him. No one sane stays in California. I know, but he has a job. So he can't just like leave right away. I know you're like, get another job, but it's a really good job. Come to Australia. I wouldn't even tell one to come to Canada. I don't know. Australia seems pretty strict right now, too. Leave him. I know you're kidding. North Carolina is beautiful, the Asheville area. Can I tell you, Australia closed until further notice. LOL. I love Asheville. I've been to Asheville. Isn't that, am I wrong? Is that where the Biltmore House is? I went to I actually would love to visit Asheville soon. I visited when I was younger. Am I right? Is that the Biltmore House? I live outside of Asheville. Oh, Lukefish does. Is it Biltmore House? You are correct. Okay. I visited Asheville when I was little. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. We went in the little downtown area. Also, I'm a huge fan of craft beer, and Asheville is a really cool craft beer town. Am I right? Let's look up Asheville. Sorry, we're just hanging out now. Sorry, I joined late. No, I'm sorry, because we're just kind of hanging out now. I love Rudy Giuliani. The man has huge balls. I actually like him too. I like him a lot. I was really sad. It made me really sad after the election how everything went down. Because I really do like Rudy Giuliani a lot, actually. He was really good. Welcome to New Jersey. Now get the hell out. Do you live in New Jersey? Why isn't Asheville coming up? Come on. Biltmore House is the largest private house in the U.S. I went there on a tour when I was really little, and what I remember from the Biltmore House is that these are the type of things you remember when you're really young. I remember that it's a very old house, and all the beds were really tiny because people back in the day were a lot shorter than they are now. So the beds were short. But it was a cool house. I remember it had a bowling alley. Rudy lost his damn marbles. Yeah, I feel like it just, that whole time was really strange. And I feel like a lot of people were trying to find answers. And it's just, people slept sitting up. No, they didn't. They were shorter. I don't know why. There's a reason for it. All right, you guys. Sorry for the last 10 minutes. We were just kind of hanging out. But I'm going to go ahead and get off. Thank you so much for joining. That was really fun. So shorter beds. Oh, okay. So Timothy is saying that the reason the beds were shorter is because they slept sitting up. That makes so much sense. Thank you, Timothy. Rudy was right about Hunter's laptop. Yes, Rudy was right about Hunter's laptop. I think everything just got super duper weird. It's cool to chill. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys had fun. Conservative, middle of the road, Republican. Yeah, I think I agree. Take care, Miss Sansoni. Okay, thank you. You guys stay safe too. I'll see you later. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for hanging out. Bye. See you later, guys. Thank you for coming. Later. Okay, bye, Lance. Bye, Daybreak. Bye, James. Bye, Dune. Dune 2020. Okay, see ya. Bye, John. Good night, you guys. All right, see you later.